Congressman Paul, this same line, you want to abolish the TSA. What would exist in its place?
Well, the airlines are responsible for carrying their cargo and their passengers. I mean, why should we assume that a bureaucracy can do better? And look at the monstrosity we have at the airports. These TSA agents are abusive. Sometimes they're accused of all kinds of sexual activities on the way they maul people at the airports. So the airlines could do that.
Your best at LAX tonight.
I would think the airlines should treat passengers as well as a company that hauls money around, and they protect their money. They have private guards, and they could do it. Just remember, 9/11 came about because there was too much government. Government was more or less in charge. They told the pilots they couldn't have guns, and they were told never to resist. They set up the stage for all this. So no, private markets do a good job in protecting, much better than this bureaucracy called the TSA. Let me tell you.
Let me ask you about something else. It's related in a way, has to do with Mother Nature. Before the broadcast, Senator Santorum's got flooding today in Pennsylvania. Governor Perry is just back from the wildfires out east. Category 1 storm laid waste to entire areas. There's standing water tonight. Patterson, New Jersey, many of the towns around where I live, 8 days without power. We had people eating in outdoor and public parks because the supermarkets were closed down. The question is, federal aid, something like FEMA. If you object to what it's become and how's it's run, your position is to remove it, take it away, abolish it. What happens in its absence?
Well, what happened before 1979? We didn't have FEMA, and that FEMA just conditioned people to build where they shouldn't be building. We lose the market effect of that. But yeah, my position is we should have never had it. There's a much better way of doing it. I mean, this whole idea that the federal government can deal with weather and anything in the world, just go to the federal government. FEMA's broke. They're $20 billion in debt. But I'm not for saying tomorrow close it down. A lot of people pay the insurance. I worked real hard to make it work, and I did that in my district too. But I'll tell you how we should do it. We're spending, believe it or not, this blew my mind when I read this, $20 billion a year for air conditioning in Afghanistan and Iraq, in the tents over there, and all the air conditioning. Cut that $20 billion out, bring it home, take 10 off the debt, and put 10 into FEMA or whoever else needs it, child health care or whatever. But I'll tell you what, if we did that and took the air conditioning out of the green zone, our troops would come home, and that would make me happy.
Mr. Kaine, along these same lines, Majority Leader Eric Cantor has said that federal disaster aid, this has been a big discussion of late, shouldn't be given out unless there are kind of concurrent spending cuts to offset the cost. Do you join in on that?
I believe that there's enough money to go around, and I believe that, yes, you can find the concurrent spending cuts in order to be able to do that. No, don't eliminate FEMA. Let's fix FEMA. Let's fix Homeland Security. There's a responsible way for the federal government to do the things that it should do. Running organizations like the TSA, I would agree with Representative Paul. No. Having the federal government responsible for trying to micromanage Medicare? No. Trying to micromanage education? No. The federal government is not good at micromanaging anything. This is why I believe in empowering the states to do more and limit what the federal government does with regard to those kinds of programs.
Governor Huntsman, you know, the upside to this is I guess you could fly with your shoes on. The downside is who does the job the next day.
Let me just say, while this is an important discussion that we're having, we've spent about 15 minutes now on Homeland Security. The greatest gift we could give this country on the 10th year anniversary, Rick, is a Homeland Security Department that really works, that doesn't give people a sense when they walk through they're going to get shaken down, a department that doesn't make us all feel like there's a fortress security mentality that is not American. And I've got to say there's something wrong with that. But I'm guessing there are a whole lot of people tuned in around this country who are saying, why are we spending all this time talking about the smaller issues? We've got 14 million people unemployed. We've got millions more in this country who are so dispirited they've quit looking. This is a human tragedy that we're talking about. Moms and dads and families that completely go without. And all I would ask the people here and the people tuning in around this country, look at where we stand in terms of how we are going to get this country back on its feet. And I just want to point out that we have offered, based on where I've been and what I have done, as governor of a state where we became #1 in job creation, where we fixed the economy, made it the best economy for business in this entire country. We've got to get back on our feet. This is a crisis situation. While all these other issues are important, let's not lose sight, folks, of the bottom line here. We've got to get back in the game as a country. We've got to make this economy work.
Governor Perry, you can't have much of a workforce without a basis of education. As you know, your state ranks among the worst in the country in high school graduation rates, as we established. Yet you recently signed a budget cut for billions in education funding. You pushed for greater cuts that were in the budget that the legislature passed. You've said that education is a top priority, but explain cutting it the way you did, please.
Well, I think the reductions that we made were thoughtful reductions, and the fact of the matter is Texas has made great progress in the 10 years that I've been governor. From the standpoint of our graduation rates now are up to 84%, higher than they've been during any period of time before that. We're seeing the type of commitment. Our 4th and 8th grader, African American and Hispanics, on the NAEPS test, they were some of the highest in the country. We're making progress. When you share the border with Mexico, and when you have as many individuals that we have coming into the state of Texas, we have a unique situation in our state. But the fact is, I stand by a record from what we've done with the resources that we've had, and I think that the reductions that we put in place were absorbed by our schools, and we will continue to have one of the finest workforces made available. When Caterpillar and Toyota and eBay and Facebook move to your state, it's not because you've got a workforce that's not capable.
Time, Governor. Speaker Gingrich, this reminds me of Race to the Top, the Obama administration education program. You supported it. Governor Perry opted out. Some people don't like it. What did you like about it?
I liked it very much the fact that it talked about charter schools. It's the one place I found to agree with President Obama. If every parent in America had a choice of the school their child went to, if that school had to report its scores, if there was a real opportunity, you'd have a dramatic improvement. I visited schools where 3 years earlier there were fights, there were dropouts, there was no hope. They were taken over by a charter school in downtown Philadelphia, and all of a sudden the kids didn't fight anymore because they were disciplined. They were all asked every day, what college are you going to? Not are you going to go to college, what college are you going to? And so I am very much in favor of school choice. My personal preference would be to have a Pell Grant for K through 12 so that every parent could pick with their child any school they wanted to send them to, public or private, and enable them to have the choice. I don't think you're ever going to reform the current bureaucracies. And the president was, I thought, showing some courage in taking on the teachers union to some extent in offering charter schools. And I wanted, frankly, to encourage more development towards choice.
I want to introduce another line of questioning by introducing yet another colleague of ours, Jose Diaz-Balart from our sister network Telemundo. Hey, my friend, how are you?
Good evening. Nice to see you all. Nice to see you all. I want to talk about a subject that was very dear to the heart of President Reagan, which was immigration reform. As you know, he was the last U.S. president to sign immigration reform in 1986. All of you, I think, have said that you don't think immigration reform should be discussed until the border is secure. And, Governor, I'd like to ask you, border state governor, what specifically, in your mind, would make the border secure?
Well, the first thing you need to do is